All right, and here we are on ESV Ohana, ladies and gentlemen. In the top left-hand corner of the map, we have our red Zerg player from the team of Check 6. It is Sleep. And his opponent in the lower right-hand corner, our blue Protoss player, reigning Fight Club champion, winner of game number 1. It is Creator.Prime.
Creator.Prime, yes. I do enjoy watching this kid play.
I do too.
But I hope Sleep makes it competitive. I really do. You know, I mean, I feel like he can. Game 1 was a bit awkward. I think he kind of didn't quite get what was going on. You know, I feel like Sleep didn't quite get what Creator.Prime was going for until the army was like right there, and he was like, oh no, it's just a Colossus push, now I'm dead. So this game we'll have to see. I mean, this is a map too where I feel like Zerg has a little bit easier time scouting as well. You can keep an eye on both gases fairly easy at the natural expansion, and you can also position overlords to fly into the main on a fairly regular basis as well. You can see him already sending that first overlord to the natural. That's where every Zerg will send their first overlord. It's so important to see those two gases at the natural in ZVPs. So we'll have to see if he's adjusted a little bit. If not, I think Creator.Prime is the type of player that will continue to just capitalize on that type of thing.
I have to say, Creator, I mean, that was such a nasty push in the last game.
No kidding, yeah.
He had perfect scouting of his opponent, as we pointed out, at all times. He always had those observers floating over his opponent's base. So we knew he was going for the kind of fastest possible mass Broodlord style. Not fastest possible Broodlords explicitly, but enough to really make a dent and just win the game outright at the beginning of the game.
That's pretty quick, yeah.
And he hit with 4 Colossi about 15 seconds before those could have been morphed in. That was just an incredible sense of timing. Really well done by Creator there. So Sleep is certainly going to have to be on the lookout for a similar such push.
Yeah. Definitely a deadly push. This type of map, too, I mean, you can do this sort of thing. The third is a little bit more open for both Zerg and Protoss, I guess you could say. The big story with this map, the big reason why Zergs like it, is because it's just so wide open. You know, I mean, you can take that third and stay fairly safe. Yeah, there are rocks between your natural and your third, but the path to get from your natural to the third isn't that bad. You can spread creep through it pretty quickly. You can position guys outside of your natural. You don't want to sit up at the top of the ramp of the natural. It's a bad place to be.
Right.
And just in general, be in a good position to get a lot of good flanks on early game Protoss armies, or even, you know, late game Protoss armies.
And speaking of late game Protoss armies, you mentioned that Creator kind of plays a little bit slower style, even in his PvZ. Trademark, of course.
He does now, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is, okay, well, this is very interesting because I was going to say is what it initially looked like is this probe off to the right, it's giving me pause. But a lot of times when you see this full wall at the front, you can usually count on pretty passive build, get that robo up, couple of immortals, go through the destructible rocks, take a third at a nice time, and take it very safely. This little hidden probe off to the right, though, we'll see if he wants to move back in and maybe proxy a Stargate or something like that later on.
I don't know. I mean, you don't usually see a lot of proxy Stargates outside of PVT, so it'd be surprising to say the least. But again, you know, this is one of those best of 9 situations where anything goes. You know, I mean, the players can really try anything. I think more than anything, he was just trying to hide it from the scouts, make sure that the Zerglings didn't see it, and Sleep just barely maybe not seeing that probe. I don't know if he caught a glimpse of it. He did now, and yeah, he will know it. And it looks like Creator.Prime will scout that there is no third base really quickly. Sleep did go for speed quickly again. He did. Okay.
Yeah. So
there we go. So he knows now.
He should know, and we'll see how he wants to react to this.
Well, he should know from the timing, too, that it's the same build as last time, where there's Zergling speed on the way with this as well.
And he did see gas at the very beginning of the game, and that was the gas that came up at 16 supply, so he knew it was going to be Zergling speed, yes. But that being said, Creator's got a Zealot out there. We saw the last time he sent out one Zealot. It wasn't too successful for him. Sleep had very good control, was able to pick up on that, but Creator already getting his +1 weapons now, once again starting on those destructible rocks very early on.
Yep. And 4 gases right away as well, so definitely going to be doing some teching along with this. It's not going to be just some huge gateway pressure or anything. Like you said earlier, I mean, a robo is usually a good option. A lot of gateway immortal pushes, if he decides to do something like that, are still very, very effective on this map, effective on any map, really. And now that he knows Sleep went for speed very quickly, he can be pretty sure that he's not going to be in for any sort of like roach all-in or something like that.
That's right.
Some Zergs do like to do that on this map because it's a little bit easier to get into the third base and deny it. But overall, if you're a Protoss player going against Zerg on this map, a lot of times you'll end up facing Broodlords fairly quickly again. So while it's a good map for Zerg, it's a map where Creator.Prime can, likely expect what he saw last game as well.
And looks like he's going to go for basically what we saw last time. I mean, he's got 4 gateways coming up at the same time, or building the 3. There we go, Twilight Council. That's our first difference now.
Okay.
There's quite a bit of gas banked up. It will be very easy to go into either Blink Stalkers or a Charge-Led Archon build, or even if he wants to make the, well, I guess I've named all the other possibilities off of a Twilight Council. Might as well say DTs.
Yeah, might as well, man. I mean, Dark Shrine is a possibility. It'd be very uncharacteristic for Creator.Prime,
yes.
But it's definitely something that he could decide to do. Overlord just kind of scouting those gases, doesn't see a whole lot else. There's a Roach Warren. Oh, that one sees stuff, though.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
And definitely knows that it is going to be a Twilight Council, so we'll see how he reacts. And Blink is indeed being researched right away with +2, but yet more and more sentries continue to get warped in. We'll see if he wants to move over to that heavy production here in just a second, or if the Blink was a ruse. Back on Sleep side of things, as we do see a Robo being added now for Creator. Back on Sleep side, he's sitting on 4 gas at the moment, going over to that Macro Hatch and Lair Tech once again, but a little bit different timings than we saw in the last game.
Oh, Blink Stalker Immortal would be something that would also be pretty effective, especially with a 3rd base as well. Kind of similar timings to what we saw last game, only you kind of replace Colossi with a lot of Immortals, right? And you just have plenty of sentries along with your Blink Stalkers to kind of zone things out and such. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sleep reacts to it. He's going for Roach upgrades this time around. So, okay, I was going to say, so we're going to have to see whether he puts on the Infestation Pit or not, and he just did. So it looks like it will be more of a late-game-oriented ZVP yet again. Although Roach Infestor is still something we see every once in a while. It's pretty good on this map, but I've got a feeling he's going for late game. And getting some surrounds on the sentries. Very nice.
Oh, wow. He's able to kill 2, 3, 4 of them. Wow. Just
That's
2
huge.
more sentries
sitting
around. A few units are finally starting to catch up there, but the sentry count is just severely damaged.
No kidding. And he can even use those Zerglings to kill the last ones. I would say it's well worth it. Yeah. Yep, making them use all their energy. Really great use of those Zerglings. Such a cheap, efficient way to take out a lot of the power of this push. And Creator.Prime may just kind of scrub the whole thing. I think he might just go home and wait.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very difficult to try and push out right now. Let's see, though. He is sitting on 6 gateways and that Robo. Of course, the Immortals are being added into this now. Wow, Sleep wants to try and inflict a little bit more damage. The Blink Stalker control is pretty good for Creator, but unfortunately, the Zerglings are just so good against Stalkers. 3 or 4 of them have already gone down along with the remaining sentries.
Yeah, he's done a ton of damage here, and I mean, if you look at the supply, it doesn't really show it. Creator.Prime macroing really well. And because of the build that Sleep did, he's not really kind of jetting ahead like you see a lot of Zergs do, but catching those sentries in the middle map and even killing off a couple Stalkers was so big. Yeah, Sleep taking a 4th base, he should feel completely comfortable doing that, and now he has time to get those Infestor upgrades out, get those Roach upgrades out, follow this up with a really big Ling Roach Infestor push if he wants to. No quick hive or anything just yet as well, so yeah, he may actually just want to get aggressive with this and try to kill off that 3rd.
And he's certainly going to be in a little bit better position to go for that really, really high tech if he wants to. Yeah, there's a lot of weapons upgrades coming on for Creator, but the sentry count is so important at this stage in the game. So much so that he's not really going to be able to do any damage until he's built up just a massive, overwhelming force once again. So a lot of possibilities here for Sleep to take advantage of it. Already clearing up the destructible rocks, of course, but we'll see what he moves into here very shortly.
Well, I got to talk a little bit yet about him killing those sentries and things like that. You usually don't see that many speedlings at this point in the game in ZVP. The reason that happened is because he saw that Twilight Council. He saw it was being chrono boosted, and he made the correct assumption that it was going to be Blink Stalkers, which meant that there weren't going to be a lot of Zealots, which meant that his Zerglings would be very, very good in that situation. So he made some extra ones, got a big benefit, and yeah, like you're pointing out, now we've got the Dark Shrine going down. So Creator.Prime, I'm not going to say this is panic mode, but trying to salvage things to a certain extent. He knows he's falling behind, and oh man, it gets scouted right away.
That's right, Sleep clicked on it, so he knows. He knows. This Overlord can't believe it's alive. It didn't even have any other plans in life, so it's just like, I guess I'll poop down some creep.
Why not, man?
Well,
and killing off that Observer Sleep, being so diligent with that in this game, and kind of like, remember last time we found out that you can actually tell if it's a Dark Shrine by how high the life bar is above the little warp in thing. Look at that. Yeah.
And indeed you can.
So, yeah, it's definitely true. So that's kind of interesting, something you can tell.
All right. So, pretty decent army coming out of Sleep now. Not powerful enough right away to win it. Well, I would say not right now to win a frontline engagement, but it's all relative forces that are relatively weak to mass Zerglings.
Yeah.
So, we finally do have the Spire and Hive coming up now, so we will be able to move back into Greater Spire and eventually Broodlords here in just a bit. But he's sitting comfortably on 4 bases, and we'll see where he decides to go from here.
Yeah, I mean, all he needs to do is maybe wait until +2 melee weapons finishes. I think that might be his plan here, but he could just go for it too. I mean, the big worry is that there is enough stuff to potentially make it a trade, but yeah, I don't know. I think he may want to trade here, and I think that's what he's going for. He's deciding. His head saying a bit, decides to go for it. Needs to get those infestors out of there. He can lose the Lings, but not the infestors.
That's right, and he already has lost a couple of them.
Yes, he
a lot
has.
of infested Terrans down now, and finally Sleep is going to retreat with the rest of his infestor army, but doesn't kill all that much. Creator can go ahead and trade a lot of the units that he did lose. Now, Sleep, of course, is going to be adding on a ton of Corruptors here very soon, but once again, we're going to get in a similar situation where Creator's going to be able to make a big push if Sleep doesn't respond appropriately.
Yeah.
65 Zerglings just coming up at the same time, along with a smattering more of Roaches, though.
Yeah, for now, I mean, for the moment, Sleep should still be safe, but he did something very, very risky there that a lot of Zergs tend to do. You know, they see the Protoss army getting big, they feel the pressure to attack right now, they think, all right, I need to kill this army before it gets too scary, and then you end up trading rather inefficiently at a time when you want to be spending money on Corruptors and Broodlords, and look at this, trying to go in again, but I don't know if this is going to be enough units, so I have to see. Not many Fungals going down either.
No, he did a really good job of fungaling a couple of the Immortals in the front, but wasn't able to follow them up with much. He would have been able to deal with their shields really effectively, but as it stands, they were still able to sit back and clean up a lot of forces. So Sleep, once again, has lost almost his entire army and hasn't been able to produce the Corruptors he needs for when this Greater Spire finishes up, which is only 30 seconds away.
Yep, he kind of painted himself into a corner there. Now when he has to spend all the money on Roaches, he could have been making Corruptors instead and have that big army left over. I mean, yeah, he would have had to sacrifice some Lings or something like that to free up some supply, but he's put himself in a really bad situation here. There's a 4th base coming up now for Creator.Prime. Sleep can't really do a lot about it. All he can do right now is sit back, play defensive, and really hope that Creator.Prime doesn't decide to move out and become aggressive himself, because at this point, I don't think Sleep could hold it.
Well, we'll see here now. That's a good number of infestors, but they are not that high in energy, all things considered. It's a fair number of Lings. So
here we
they're
go.
able to get in and do some damage. Oh, doesn't hit that many units, but a lot of Lings lost because of the good force fields there. So Creator on point with his control at the moment. The Zealots are going to die up the front. A nice job to create a little bit of a choke point there with all the fungal stalkers, but the sheer damage output of Creator's army is pretty staggering.
Yeah, Creator.Prime knows exactly the situation that he's in. He knows he can just push ahead with his army right now and take out this space. And he also knows, too, the more aggressive he is right now, the less likely he's going to have to deal with Broodlords in this game.
That's
and at this point, it really doesn't look like he's going to need to do that at all. He could just continue to roll right on here to the 3rd base. He's way ahead in supply. Things just looking great for Creator.Prime.
Yeah, I think that's about going to happen. I don't know. I mean, it is Creator. He may just pull back, establish himself on 4 bases.
He likes to be safe, yeah.
Get his tech in place and make sure he can move up from there. I know I mentioned this a lot. Creator's a young player, and a lot of young players fall into the trap of being incredibly impatient whenever they play. Creator does not. He's an extremely patient player, and it's not to a fault. He has a perfect sense of when he knows that he can make the killing blow and absolutely take no damage. So I certainly don't fault Creator for this. It's one of his strongest strengths. Does that make sense? His best strengths.
Strengthiest strengths.
Yes.
That's right.
All the strengths.
He's one of the guys that plays against the AI and just waits until he has a huge army of all battle cruisers and then moves out and kills him. He's like, yeah. A little bit of a Ling run by here. He's going to kill some probes, but Creator.Prime's not even worried about it. He's actually just going for the attack.
Yep, and it looks like Sleep going to go ahead and run on by, continue to try and do some damage. Not going to get a lot done, though, and Creator just splitting up his forces, making sure he can push the most efficiently, which he does. Fungal pins a few units in position as we do see 4 Broodlords are coming up, but that is so many Bling Stalkers.
Oh, man.
47 of them already getting underneath and picking off the Broodlords.
Yeah, I think that is going to be about it for Sleep. I don't think he can hold this off. He's got some nice Fungals, but the blink ahead is going to take out the Infestors. GG! And Creator.Prime takes game 2 really well done by him. I mean, he played it well, but again, you know, I think that game came down to Sleep making a big mistake at a critical time. He wasn't in a bad spot, made an attack at an awkward time, awkward angle with kind of an inferior unit composition because he felt like he needed to. You know, he felt like Creator.Prime's army was getting away from him, and that is just the opposite of what you want to do in that position as a Zerg player in ZVP. So it's been rough for Sleep. We're going to have to see if he can win Game 3, because if you go down 3-0, that's a tough momentum to change, you know?